Guess who got brands talking? Brandlive.co.za.
Okay. Good morning, Brand Live streamers and YFLPTY Ltd subscribers. Yes, it's that time of the Monday morning. You are tuned into the Financial Independence Coach. And today, in our studio, I have the absolute pleasure to welcome Ronel Harris. Ronel, welcome.
Thank you, Yvonne, and thank you to the listeners.
Ronel, tell me, that thing is not working for me, Andy. You are my next role model. Absolutely. You've given me a copy of your book this morning, and guys, really look, the book, get it, read it, break free. Find your power, rewrite your story, and create an awesome life. Mm-hmm. Absolutely fantastic. Now, Ronel, I want to kick off and just go a bit back into your history. Where do you come from? What was your childhood like? Now, you've told me this already before the show, but share it with our listeners. Where do you come from? Why am I so passionate about you?
Well, Yvonne, as being a child that has been molested sexually by the father, abused mentally as well as physically, didn't have a childhood because I started looking after my siblings since the age of 12, after my father left us. And, that is how I found strength in my life, is to be able to stand up, because I know that at the end of the day, where I come from has got nothing to do with my future is going to be for me at the end of the day, because I'm in charge of my own future.
Exactly.
But being sexually abused, and obviously was hard, as you can speak to anybody that's been sexually abused, the nightmares that you go through, the insecurities. But I had to step up because my mother, after my father left us, obviously started drinking. She yearned for him. I was 12 years old, and I knew that I have siblings to take care of, and I just took up that space and became the parent. So for me, never having a childhood was hard. But it made me who I am today.
And you refer to the nightmares, the pain associated with what you have gone through as a child. Now, out of my own experience, those things never really go away. You just learn to live with it in a different sort of way. It's never really leaving you. You kind of move past the fear of the experience.
Mm-hmm. I think, at the end of the day, we all have choices that we have to make in our lives. The thing is, you can sit down and say, yes, I can't have the life that I want because of this and this and this and this happened to me. Or you can say, listen, this did happen to me. Can I do something about it? Obviously, I can't. I can't change what happened to me as a child.
You can't change the past at all.
I can't. And I made that decision in my life. I was not going to be feeling sorry for me. I am a warrior. I am a survivor of sexual, mentally, and physically abuse. And I think for being a woman, being in that situation, we all have our, for you to make a choice to say, I'm going to sit in the corner feeling sorry for myself, or am I going to step up? What is it that I want out of my life? And that's what I did. When I used to walk down, I was just 12 and a half years old, I used to walk down to the little shop. And because my mother has used all our welfare money on her cigarettes, alcohol, the rest of the month, she didn't care about. And I used to go to Louw and Son, and I used to say to them, listen, can I just buy something on the book? My mother just paid what we've used a month. It drove me nuts, actually, because I couldn't understand. As a parent, you have to have a sense of responsibilities. And she didn't have that. You know, I had to be the responsible one. Yeah.
So at a very young age, you also learned about gearing that debt. Living on the book, living on credit.
Yeah.
And
living in your own means and try to live above what you earn. Yes, I've learned that from a very young age. Yeah.
From a very young age. Now, you moved past that, and as we discussed earlier, you initially had this dream of putting yourself through college to become a secretary. And I absolutely love the story that you told me of becoming the secretary, and then tell us from there.
Well, when I was much younger, I'm 53 years old, so many years ago,
Many moons
ago, it was like this, the position that any young girl wanted to be. She wanted to be a secretary or a receptionist. For me, Joan Collins, that time in Dynasty, was like my little idol. The perfect hair, the pencil skirt and the top and the high heels. And I said, that is what I want to be in my life. For me, at that point, that was a big dream. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that was your role model.
Yes.
That was the standard you measured yourself to.
Yes, and coming from where I'm coming from, that was quite high. And I started working. I was lucky enough to have a godmother. And she worked at Trust Bank that time, and she got me in to work after school. So I started saving because I wanted to go to college.
Yeah.
And I was going to be the one responsible putting myself through college.
For your own education.
Yes. And I did. And I started working at this big furniture store. I got the job. My first interview, it was great. And I was ready to take on this big world, right? A receptionist. And I was there for a month or so, and I realized, but listen, I'm just like the receptionist. It's just above being, serving tea in the company. And I thought, no, but there must be something better. I want to have a better, if I want to have a better life, I need to be educated. So I started learning, and lunchtimes I used to sit with the credit controller, and I mastered that. And that is actually how I started building myself up in the company. And within 18 months, I became the youngest sales manager.
And it was literally a case of you took it upon yourself to learn somebody else's job, to be able to do that, to step by step move up higher.
And that is how we actually get into life. We all have to start somewhere in life.
Exactly. We all start
Yes.
at the bottom of the ladder. And if you don't learn how to move to the next step, you're never going to get to the top of the ladder and see the top of the mountain.
And the thing is, there's a lot of young people today, they want to walk in and they want to earn these big salaries and, but there is no... they didn't have the education. For me, it's always you start at the bottom and you have to work yourself up. At the end of the day, you need to know exactly what is happening in your company. And that is what I did, and that is actually how I started. And from there, I realized that one day I want to work for myself. Now my dreams are getting bigger,
Bigger and bigger.
Yes.
Well, like I said to you earlier, we've got so much in common. Coming from a abusive childhood myself, had the job in the bank, got myself promoted because I took the time to go and learn other people's jobs and got placed into their jobs when they moved on. Then had my first marriage, which was abusive, and came to that point where I realized, but you know what, there is more to life. There must be something more than what I'm just seeing now, and moved past that. Now, you have had 3 husbands.
Yes.
But it's not because of abuse.
No.
And like you said earlier, each of these husbands taught you a specific lesson in life. And what you said was quite touching for me. Just can you repeat that for us again?
While I was working in this big furniture store, if you listen to my motivational speech, when I do speak, I will speak about him because he was this big man in my life. Since the day I walked in for my interview, he was like, wow. But he was like 12 years older than me.
A crush.
Yeah. And then eventually, we did get married. And he taught me, about love. And he mended my heart. He created trust in my life. Somebody that I can trust, look up to. And for me, that is why God gave him to me in that point in my life, because he taught me things that I didn't know, coming from where I'm coming. You know, for me, love was my father visiting me on the Friday night. I didn't know what love was. I never sat on my mother's lap and she held me to say that she loved me. So for me, I didn't understand those things.
She had a complete disconnect with love.
Yes, and he actually restored that. And he died. My son was 4 months old. And obviously a lot of things happened in my life. I ended up in a mental institution. I lost my voice. I gave up on life because all of a sudden, I couldn't see a life for myself. And I didn't want to live. And I wasn't there for my son. I was feeling sorry for myself. All of a sudden, you know, what am I going to do with my life? And the day when I walked out of the mental institution, I made a promise that I will never go that route again. And then obviously I met my second husband because I started my first business when I was 22 years old. After I left the mental institution, I realized, listen, I want to have everything. I've got a baby to look after. And I started working 3 jobs. I started working at a debtors clerk or debt agency, and I delivered pizza at night, and I used to work for Build, you know, because I had twice a week at evenings. We used to phone people and say, listen, do you would like to subscribe and you know the story, you know. Yeah. So I started working 3 different jobs, starting because I wanted to have my own business. And yes, I started my first business when I was 22 years old with no know-how. I didn't know what I was
No business
doing.
experience. All you knew was you want your business.
I was going to have a business, and it's going to be a boutique. I'm going to have the most beautiful clothes, and I was going to dress all women so they look beautiful. You know what I'm saying? Little did I understand. That's, I suppose, a subject on its own. But obviously, it wasn't about what I wanted. All these beautiful clothes, you know, I looked gorgeous in it, you know what I'm saying? But it's about my clients.
Servicing the clients.
Yes. And that is how I actually started learning about, you know, you need to be there for your clients and that type of thing. And then I met my husband, my second husband. He died a few years ago, and we were friends until he died. He actually worked in our company until he died. And he taught me about family, the importance of family. You know, being there for one another, sticking through thick and thin, you know, and that it's the most important thing. Family it's like the glue, you know, and that is what he taught me. And, you know, he was a stunning person. We were married for 7 years, and but I just wanted so much more out of my life. You know, and he was very content having his life that he wants, and I wanted more, and we lost our way with one another because I started going to all these events and things by myself, and I got divorced, and a year later we became friends again, and we were friends until the day he died. That's 3 years ago.
And we'll get to husband number 3 after the ad break.
Thank you.
Live from 27 boxes in the heart of Melville, this is brandlive.co.za.
This is what you missed on brandlive.co.za.
We're broadcasting live in one of the boxes at 27 boxes.
Hey, can I ask you something there? Can you please tell me, like, do you think like the post-90s, like, did they really fully integrate, you know?
Sure.
Since we're talking about integrating today, though.
But you do what? Civil engineering?
Civil engineering, yeah.
Okay, and how's that going for you?
It's okay.
So
It's
a whole
fine.
lot of studying?
School, it's a lot of studying.
And
I
banking
guess.
school, a lot of banking school.
I don't bank school. Like, I just don't go to school when they tell us not to go.
Lies,
I mean,
Bona. I've seen this with my eyes. Lies.
Someone was saying, I'm sure there's 10 soapies now happening
Listen.
same time.
I'm gonna say something, right, that might sound like I'm shading or hating or whatever. There's lots of work for actors right now, but lots of actors aren't working. Lots of people are acting.
Ooh.
This is what you missed on the social show.
My first question then is, where are these hubs of economic development? Which township do I find a hub of economic development? Why must, if the focus is really capacitating the disadvantaged, why must I climb onto 3-4 taxis to get to a certain area? A certain area has got about 6 to even 20 of these, right? Coming from Alexander or Tembisa. So you then find that there is a township economy, but the people that are living within this township economy, that are starting businesses in this township economy, are not full participants of this township economy.
For more, go to www.brandlife.co.za.
Live from 27 boxes in the heart of Melville, this is brandlive.co.za.
And you're back to the Financial Independent Coach. My guest today, Ronel Harris. And before the break, we were talking about your experience with your husbands, and we stopped it just before husband number 3. Now, listeners and streamers, I have to tell you this. We've had husband number 3 on the show previously, Mr. John Harris. Now, tell us the story about Ronel and John Harris.
Well, I had my boutique, right? So, and I was always like dressed to perfection. And he used to pass my boutique all the time and always looking in and whatever. And then one day I was busy doing the books, and the next minute he was standing in front of me and he said to me, and he looked me straight in the eye and he said to me, "One day you are going to be my wife." Right?
A very determined young man.
Very. And I looked at him up and down. I mean, you saw John, right? He's short and... I looked him up and down. I said, "You don't have what it takes." Well, we've been together now for 23 years, married for 19, and he's the love of my life.
Oh, fantastic.
And he believes in me. You know, he took the time, and he wanted me to become the best person, taking the time to become who I am today, investing in myself, and for him that was important, for me to grow to the next level. So he's one of my biggest fans, and I love him dearly. And he's gorgeous. I love him.
And he's although he is a small package, he's the strong, silent type.
Yes, and I love his discipline. He's very disciplined. And when you speak to him, he will tell you straight, "Listen, I know her for 33,000 years. And people will say, "What are you talking about?" He says, "Well, we met in Ur and Egypt and this and this. And, you know, she was this princess and I was the slave. And I'm still a slave, you know, that type of thing." So, yeah, I love him to bits.
Oh, absolutely brilliant. Well, Ronel, from where you've came to where you are today, where are you today? What are you doing?
Well, I am... First of all, I think I'm a mother to my beautiful 3 children, and a wife to my husband, John. I'm a sister and a friend, and I am a businesswoman, you know. I am the owner of Outdoor Environmental Education Africa.
Yes.
One of the biggest youth tour operators in the country. It's my passion. It's my baby. I love it. And then I'm also the owner of Vredesteer Woordenpoort. I am part owner of Shared Space, Atka Digital Agency. You know, and I'm also the owner of a farm where I'm busy now starting with Morapedi.
Yes, yes.
It's an NPO. Yeah, so I'm a lot of things. I'm, as you know, an author, a motivational speaker, and that's where I am at my life right now.
And with all your motivational speaking and traveling, you have had one of my things that I still want to tick off my bucket list, a photo with Tony Robbins. Tell us about that experience.
Well, you don't know how that happened.
Well, I want to know.
So I went and I attended one of Tony's courses and in Florida. And it was the most amazing thing because he's one of my idols. He's in my book as well because of Tony's background, where he comes from, and I could actually relate to him as a person in so many different levels. So
exactly.
obviously I went and bought a VIP ticket because I was going to be right in front of the stage.
Nothing less.
And no. So Tony came up and he had this energy. It was the most amazing energy.
So electric.
Yes. And, you could just get into the groove. And Tony came down the stage and he took my hand and kissed it. It was wonderful, for him to be so close to me. And I was going to take a photograph. And his securities and, his, I don't know if you call it bodyguards.
Not that he needs a bodyguard.
Yeah, he's big enough. Anyway, he's massive. And they stopped me and he said to me, "You'll give me a photograph later on." Of course, that's brilliant. And then that night we also did the fire walk. So the next day, for all the VIPs, there was going to be a lunch. And the lunch was there and we didn't know exactly what time. So I was telling everybody, listen, I need to go to the ladies. So if Tony comes in, you better get me here because I want my photograph. So I coming down from the ladies and I was running because I said, Tony's here. And I said, oh my God. And I ran. And as I came in, it was 300 people, if not more. And everybody was trying to get to Tony. And Tony says, no, he's only going to ask 3 or 4 questions, give 3 or 4 people the opportunity to speak. And I thought, oh my God, I was never going to get my photograph. And obviously, if you want something, you need to do something
to get it.
Right? So onto the chair I get. And I said, Tony, I said, remember me? I'm Ronel from South Africa. You owe me a photograph. And he said, yes, I do. And that is actually how I got my photograph. He came and we took off my photograph.
And you literally stood up and demanded what you wanted.
Yes.
And you got it. As in life, it's that whole reflection back to, you can't just sit around in life waiting for something to happen, waiting for something to come your way. You have to literally stand up, make your stand and demand the standard what you want.
Yeah, you need to know what you want out of life and go after it. And the thing is, for me, I'm a very focused person. If I want something, it's like when I bought my first house. It's like, okay, we need to have our own home and you start saving and because you need to have a plan to get to where you want to be.
Exactly.
And you know what? And if you need to do more, then you do it until you get what you want. And that is what I did. And that is how I succeed in my life. Determination, hard work. Focused, obviously.
Review and adjust, and keep moving forward with the end goal in mind, the telios.
That's correct, yes. Nothing in life falls in your lap.
Nothing. And if you sit around waiting for it, life is going to pass you by.
Yes.
Now, Ronel, with your it's Marupeng, ne? Marupedi, sorry. Marupedi, and with the outdoor environmental education that you do with the kids. Tell me a bit more about that, because that sounds so wonderful. Being in the bush, working with children, less fortunate than what we are, and giving them that experience.
Well, about 21 years ago, I fell pregnant, and before that I lost 6 children, and they told me I will never have children again. My son was 15 at that point, Leon. So, I accepted that I was never going to have another child. Although in my back of my mind, I always believed that God was going to give me the family that I wanted. It's just, in life you have to wait for whatever is good. And I fell pregnant, and because of the babies that I lost, I was more in bed, so I couldn't have a full-time job. So I started helping John out. He was working for a company, and they did tours down to the Louveld. And then obviously I'm an organizer, right? So I started taking control, and I started putting things into place, systems and whatever. And I thought to myself, this is something that I love. This is one thing that me and John has in common. We love the environment. We love
nature.
And I thought, now this is where I can see myself. And obviously because of the people that we worked for and broke a promise, and I said to John, listen, I'm starting my own business. You carry on and I will start my own business. Six months from now, that day, you can leave and we will start Outdoor Environmental Education Africa. So Outdoor Environmental Education Africa is, I believe, in the youth. I think for the next generation, for them, for the love for nature, we need our youth to stand up for them, to have a voice. And we have to start with the youth, teaching them the importance of looking after our environment, being there for our wildlife, you know what I'm saying? And that is how actually outdoor environmental education started. So I work with about 200 different schools. I have sent a few million children all over the country. I work with only specific venues across the country to get our children out there so that they can experience different environments. Now, the one big thing is that I always wanted was there is so many children that will never have that opportunity.
Will never have that experience.
And they live in such situations, you know, in squatter camps, low-cost housing, that will never have that opportunity. And that is where I started, I think it's about 8 years ago. I will take 52 children every year from different schools and, you know, and give them the opportunity, because if a child can't dream, he doesn't understand.
He doesn't know what life is about, what to live for.
Yes, because this is all he knows about, right?
Yes.
He only knows this environment. But for us to open them up and let them start seeing, but listen, I can have a better life. My godmother took me away from where I came from. And I started seeing that there is a better life. And this is what I want. And this is where Moropedi is also going to fit in. Where we can go all over Africa, getting companies to actually start, you know, for social spending, put into there so that we can make it possible for our youth to experience nature through education. And that is what I love doing, and that's my little baby.
Oh, fantastic. Now, Ronel, you do so much, and you've got your book. Now, for all the Yvonne and Brand Life subscribers, I will, when I post my videos, and I know I've been promising this for months for you guys, I will put all the links on there as well. But Ronel, if somebody wants to get hold of you now to either come and do a motivational talk or to find out more about Moropedi and the outdoor educational tours, where can they get hold of you?
They can get hold of me via my website is www.breakfreebook.co.za. They can also phone me on 011 768 5934, go through to Outdoor Environmental Education Africa, and they can also send me a messenger. Just search for Ronel Harris and they will find me. And
on Facebook?
Yes, on Facebook, yes.
And then, of course, if you're in the Roodepoort area, Freda Stairs and Shared Space.
That's correct. It's in Warra Corner Shopping Centre. And I always have copies available. They can also go to Amazon and they will also get my book there. My book has just been, it's about 2 months ago, as the reader's favourite. I got a 5-star rating.
Oh, congratulations!
Thank you so much. So it's, I'm very humbled by that. Yes.
Oh, fantastic. Ronel, I must say I'm absolutely humbled by the fact that you came through today for the interview.
No, thank you for allowing me to be here.
It's absolutely my pleasure, and you know, not just for the listeners out there, but for myself as well. You know, having that reaffirmation, that confirmation that, you know what, I'm not the only one that's gone through this. And I most probably won't ever be the only one that's gone through it, and there's so many others out there.
We all have a story to tell.
We all have a story to tell. And, you know, like we said before the show, is we've all gone through certain experiences and lived through it and survived and became icons through what we have experienced. Purely, if for nothing else, on the fact to teach somebody else of our experience.
I think it's by spreading hope, you know, because we all go through certain things in life, and by knowing that somebody else could get past that is getting hope out there, you know what I'm saying? And I think that is the reason why I wrote Break Free, because we all have a story and you can live past that. You can have the life that you want. You can have an awesome life.
Exactly.
At the end of the day, it's your choice.
It all boils down to your choice.
Correct.
And using the talents that is natural to you and what you want.
That's true. And as I always tell my children, don't ever give up on your dreams. And I think that's the most important thing. For me, it was all my life.
Perseverance.
Correct.
Going forward. Well, Brand Live streamers and Yvonne Pty Ltd subscribers, That was Ronel Harris, right here live in studio at 27 Boxes. And that is the end of our show. Like I said, I will put the links onto my website. But if you want to get hold of Ronel, that website address again, it's www.breakfree.co.za. The book, have a read. I'm definitely going to. I got my copy. And I'll see you guys next week, same time, same place. Shalom.
Live from 27 Boxes in the heart of Melville, this is brandlive.co.za.